Back on Inside Politics, we are talking about Joe Biden's first 100 days as president. We're talking with Linda Schact of Lipscomb University and Joey Garrison, USA Today correspondent from the White House. Linda, is it overdone what the media does about this 100-day stuff? It's like if he doesn't get anything done his first 100 days, then he's toast the rest of his administration?
No, since FDR, who first coined the phrase the first 100 days in the speech that he gave, a radio address that he gave to the nation, since him, we've measured presidents in that way. But we have to recognize that the first 100 days is not always an indication. I mean, Jimmy Carter had a 62% approval rating at the end of his first 100 days. He was given high marks for bringing trust and truth back to government. But we see what happened when the world intervenes, right? And whether it's a hostage situation or long gas lines, things can bring the president who has a high rating at the end of the first 100 days to his knees. And one of the things I think that's important to look at is there are seeds in the first 100 days of what the problems could be going forward. For Carter, it was poor congressional relations. And for Biden, I think it's when you set yourself up as a truth teller and providing transparency, you also put a target on your back to be called a hypocrite. And I think we saw a couple of things in this first 100 days that they have to worry about.
Joey Garrison, when Bill Clinton was president, he went to Congress one time and said the era of big government is over. If you look at the size and the scope of the bills that President Biden is sending down there to not only recover from COVID, but recover from the rest of the economy, big government's back, and people seem to like it, at least based on the polls?
Yeah, I think it is for Democrats. I mean, they're flipping the page and going back to what it meant to be a Democrat coming out of LBJ and before the triangulation of Bill Clinton. And, really he's overseen what's been the most dramatic expansion of the federal government in terms of safety net in decades. And yeah, I mean, that's through first of all, the COVID relief bill, and now through these other big proposals that would subsidize child care and make national paid family leave and make pre-K expansion or pre-K free universal. And really, it's kind of an unlikely role that if you think about Biden during the campaign, during the primary, as being the guy who would oversee this real transformation in the economy. But I think inheriting the COVID-19 crisis, I think that gave him an opportunity to try to remind people what government can do again, and in terms of getting vaccines in arms, et cetera. And so now he's now pivoting that and trying to use this moment to transform other parts of the U.S. economy. And you're right, big government is back.
Linda, looking back at the president's address this week to Congress, another sign of great change historically were the two people that were behind the president when he made his speech. We've had two people behind it who had never been like that before.
That's right. I think it was a thrilling, historic moment to see two women as vice president and speaker of the House sitting behind the president. Thrilling for women who are, and little girls who can now see themselves in those roles. And I have to harken back to how much it has changed. When I was a top Senate aide, we had only 2 female senators and only a handful of female congresspeople. So this was a great moment that I am afraid was overshadowed because of the different nature of the State of the Union or the joint address this week. I'm hoping that we'll see more about it in next year's State of the Union. But Biden did turn around and acknowledge it, which I think was important. One other thing, Pat, I think what Joey said is important because Biden did position himself as a transition or bridge president when he first began to try to get the nomination from the Democrats. And we know now that after talking to historians and looking at what's happened with COVID, that he sees he can be a transformational president like FDR or meet the moment like LBJ.
Joey, let me ask you your final question. You've gone from now covering the Metro Council and mayoral news conferences now to covering presidential news conferences and big things at the White House. How different is that? I mean, is it still the same in reporting?
Yeah, it's perhaps more similar than you'd think. I mean, whether you're reporting on the mayor or the city council, or whether you're following what's happening in Congress or a new president, your number one goal is to hold these elected officials accountable. And whether you're the mayor or the president, both are trying to define their legacy and solve the problems of their political universe, respectively. And so, really, there's a similar approach in terms of reporting. It's just the issues are different and perhaps larger in scale now.
Linda, briefly, you taught a class on President Trump's first 100 days. I think you've taught one this year on President Biden's first 100 days. How have they been the same or different, and what's been the student reaction?
Well, the student reaction has been very different from Trump's first 100 days because it's a total change in tone and a change in message and a change in how often we see the president. The structure's there. We looked at inauguration. We looked at the different news conferences and addresses that he's made. But the more important thing is, I said it earlier, we see a different tone. We see someone who is not giving us a tweet every day to wake up, or more tweets to wake up to every day.
Linda, we'll have to leave it at that.
We see government working.
Linda, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you both Joey Garrison and Linda P. Schact. Thank you so much for joining us. You brought a lot to the conversation today. Look to have you back again soon.
Hey, thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
That's Inside Politics for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you can make it back for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the NewsChannel website. You'll find my Capital View commentary there. New commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and goodbye.